In a dramatic shift, Japan is re-evaluating its economic partnership with the United States after more than 70 years of close cooperation. The cause? New trade policies from Washington that Tokyo views as punitive. Major Japanese automakers like Toyota and Honda are pulling back on their U.S. investments, putting over 840,000 American jobs at risk. Once a bedrock of trust, the U.S.-Japan alliance now appears fragile, shaken by tariffs, tech restrictions, and conflicting geopolitical priorities. The consequences could ripple across global supply chains and destabilize entire industries. For decades, Japan has been a cornerstone investor in the American economy, building car plants, hiring U.S. workers, and paying billions in taxes. States like Kentucky, Texas, and Alabama flourished thanks to Japanese automakers. But in 2025, that dynamic is shifting. The Trump administration has labeled Japanese vehicles a national security threat and is preparing steep tariffs, some as high as 30%, on imports. Tokyo views this as more than a trade dispute. To Japanese leaders, it's an economic attack by a supposed ally, especially when Japan's economy is already under strain. Washington's pressure isn't limited to cars. The U.S. has demanded Japan cut off exports of its advanced chip-making equipment to China, a major customer for Japan's high-tech sector. Add to that increased scrutiny on Japanese agricultural exports, and you get a picture of mounting tension. Prime Minister Shigeru Oshiba has denounced the moves as a regrettable reversal in partnership, while Finance Minister Kato warned the policies could tip both economies into recession. From Tokyo's perspective, the U.S. is using economic leverage to force geopolitical alignment. The stakes are enormous. Japan directly supports over 800,000 American jobs through its automakers alone and contributes over $30 billion annually in U.S. tax revenue. If Japan begins divesting from the U.S., those jobs don't just disappear, they shift elsewhere. That's already happening. Nissan has cut production in Kyushu. Toyota is redirecting investment to Southeast Asia, and Mazda is building new EV plants in Thailand. These aren't symbolic gestures. They're strategic moves away from an increasingly unpredictable U.S. trade environment. At the heart of the dispute is technology. Japan builds precision machinery crucial for semiconductor manufacturing, much of which is sold to China. The U.S. sees this tech flow as a security threat and wants Japan to halt it. In return, Washington implies that cooperation might ease tariffs on Japanese vehicles. But for Japan, this trade-off is deeply problematic. Sacrificing a key tech sector to appease Washington could spark tensions with China, a vital trade partner. And Japan's leaders aren't eager to be boxed into a binary choice between two superpowers. This isn't just a trade spat, it's a high-stakes showdown. Japanese automakers contribute over $30 billion in taxes to the U.S., supporting schools, hospitals, and infrastructure. These jobs and investments aren't easily replaced. But now, the White House treats these companies like a threat. Tariffs of 25% or more will hike up vehicle prices, making Japanese cars less affordable for American buyers. That means fewer sales, factory cutbacks, and job losses, hitting not just Japan, but American communities that rely on these businesses. It's a betrayal that's shaking decades of trust. Japan is caught between two giants, the U.S. and China. On one side, the U.S. threatens the auto industry with steep tariffs. On the other, China floods the market with low-cost electric vehicles, backed by heavy subsidies. Japan can't match China's prices and still turn a profit. If tariffs make Japanese cars pricier in America, Chinese competitors gain ground. Japan's squeezed from both ends, struggling to adapt quickly under mounting economic pressure. At the heart of this tension are computer chips. Japan makes advanced machines vital for semiconductors, about half sold to China. The U.S. wants Japan to cut off chip equipment sales to China to slow its tech rise. The auto tariffs are leveraged to force this. It's not just cars or rice. It's about control over critical technology, using economic pressure for political goals. The U.S. even sent a private letter to Japan's ambassador, warning of the growing risk from China's chip dominance, especially from tech giant Huawei. Japan faces a hard choice: cave to U.S. pressure and risk its business with China, or chart a new path. Japan could ramp up electric vehicle production, build stronger trade ties in Southeast Asia or Europe, or focus on its domestic economy. Japan's looking beyond the US for partners to hedge its bets. But this shift cracks the foundation of trust. If the US can threaten a longtime ally like Japan, other partners may question America's reliability. That could open the door wide for China to swoop in with friendlier deals and reshape the balance of power in Asia and beyond. The message from Japan is clear. Loyalty has limits. For decades, Japan stood by the US, investing in factories, creating jobs, respecting the rules. But when that partnership is met with punishment instead of appreciation, something breaks. These aren't just trade deals anymore. They're signals about trust, power, and the future of global alliances. And as Japan begins to step back, others are watching closely. Because if the US can push out one of its oldest allies over tariffs, who's next? This isn't just about cars, it's about credibility. And that's not easily rebuilt.